Welcome to Friendly Math 101. Today's lesson is over finding x and y intercepts from standard form of a line. Before we start, let's talk about what x and y intercepts are. An x-intercept is where the line crosses the x-axis. That means that y is equal to 0 on our x-intercept. Y-intercepts are where the line crosses the y-axis, which means x is equal to 0 at the y-intercept. Now let's look at our first example. I want to do this two different ways because there's two different ways of thinking about it. The first way I'm going to do it is by using what I just wrote down. How at the x-intercept, y is 0. At the y-intercept, x is 0. So let's first try to find our x-intercept. Again, at our x-intercept, y is equal to 0. So all I have to do is plug in 0 to y and solve for x. Now we're just going to solve. So the first thing I want to do is get rid of those parentheses by multiplying. 5 times 0 is 0. When I add 0, nothing happens. So we can just ignore that 0 there. So what I have is negative 2x equals 20. To get x by itself, we would divide both sides by negative 2. And so my x is equal to negative 10. That is where our line crosses the x-axis. But when we're doing this, we want to write our x and y intercepts as points. So that point is actually going to be negative 10, 0. Because we just found our x is negative 10, and again, y is 0 on the x-intercept. So let's do the same thing for y. For y, the x is going to be 0. So instead of replacing the y with 0, we replace the x with 0. So we're going to do the same thing, just replacing the x with 0 instead. Again, let's do the multiplication here. Anything times 0 is just 0. Like we did up here, we can cross out this 0. It doesn't matter. When we add 0, nothing happens. So what we have is 5y equals 20. To get y by itself, we divide by 5. Y equals 4. But again, we want to write our answer as a point. So our point is going to be 0, 4. In the y-intercept, the x is 0, and the y we found was 4. So that's one way we could look at this problem. Another way is called the cover-up method. If you notice, the y value, the 5y here in our equation, went away when we're looking for the x. Here, the x part went away when we're looking for the y. So when we're looking for either x or y, we can cover up the corresponding letter. So if we're looking for the x-intercept again, I can cover up the y with my hand and just write what we have down. It says negative 2x equals 20. So negative 2x equals 20. And then we can solve. The reason we can do this is because we are plugging in 0 to the y. When we plug in 0 here, this goes away. It just becomes 0, which we can cross out. Nothing happens when you add 0. So now we'll solve. Just divide both sides by negative 2. X equals negative 10, just like we found over here, and we'll write our point, negative 10, 0 is our answer. So we're doing the same thing, it's just a little bit less to write with the cover-up method. Just remember which letter to cover up. So if I'm trying to look for y, I want to cover up the x's. When I cover up the x's here, it says 5y equals 20. So I will write 5y equals 20. Get y by itself by dividing by 5. Y equals 4. And we write our answer as a point, 0, 4. Here's our next example. I'm just going to use the cover-up method because I think it's easier. So let's divide this in half so we can do our x over here and our y over here. Okay, so using the cover-up method to find our x-intercepts, we're going to cover up the y's. So I'll cover up the y here, and my equation says 3x equals 16. To get x by itself, I want to divide both sides by 3. X equals 16 over 3. That's not a whole number, so I'm just going to leave it as a fraction. And remember, we want to write our answer as a point, x, y. So my x we found was 16 over 3. My y, remember, is 0. Now let's do the same thing for the y-intercept. Here, we're going to cover up the x's to get the y-intercept. So when I cover up the x's there, my equation says negative 4y equals 16. That negative sign is very important that you carry it over. So that 4 is negative, negative 4y equals 16. Get y by itself by dividing by negative 4. Y equals negative 4 here. And we're going to write our answer as a point. X is 0, y is negative 4. So those are my x and y intercepts. Thank you for watching, and for more math tutorials, please subscribe to our channel, Friendly Math 101.